Hello everyone and welcome back. I know it's been a little while here to another deck tech slash playthrough here on my channel. So without further ado, let's get into the deck. Hello everyone. Different hair color, I know. I'm working on getting it to a gray and for Halloween coming up, but I had to bleach it first. So that's why it looks like this. So ignore that for now. But anyway, moving on. This is a deck I've been pretty happy with as of late here. It's a amber amethyst deck, kind of focusing on playing some more of an aggressive curve without being too vulnerable to some of the sweepers that you see out of ruby amethyst and things like that. We still have an aggressive curve with Lilo, Stitch, Archimedes, LeFou, Simba, kind of our early cost cards. We also kind of go up the curve. Elsa, Maleficent, the wardrobe. The wardrobe's pretty key here at being a way to deal with Simba, as well as high willpower to kind of heal back up with Rapunzel. Hades in the deck kind of creates some loops with itself, or just rebuy something valuable later in the game that you want to either use for ink to get to your bigger cards, or something key like a Rapunzel to use again. Anna is a card I've been pretty impressed with. I've always thought it was going to be able to find a home. So far that hasn't really played true because Amethyst has been pairing so well with Ruby and has Be Prepared, so you don't really want to play to the board too much. Jafarge, our high willpower character that allows you to leverage some of the cards that you get from Rapunzel into extra strength there. The package of Stitch and Stitch. Stitch, as we said, the Rockstar, has a bunch of low-cost cards to kind of refuel the game with as it goes late. Make use of some of those early cards that have lost some value at turns, 6, 7, and 8. Carefree Surfer Stitch, just a huge body. 4, 8 is a large amount of stats there, and picking up 2 cards along the way also is pretty nice. Elsa, Spirit of Winter, of course, just a great finisher. Helps ice the game, pun intended. But yeah, rounding out the rest of the deck there, we have a couple copies of You Have Forgotten Me to help tag some cards at the end of someone's hand, maybe devastate them by hitting their last 2 cards. Friends on the other side to refuel, and a couple copies of Lantern because I found myself slightly behind pretty consistently, maybe half a turn in a lot of games, and I feel like this helps speed me up just a little bit because despite having Simba and LeFou, they're not really impressive cards on their own. Simba's fine, but only really when paired with Lilo. I cut down on the Lilo because I felt like I didn't really need as many. Uninkables is always a concern, and I felt like I wanted to slot in some Hades, so I actually cut a Lilo for a Hades, and I had a Befuddle. I switched out for a Hades after trying a bit, but let's give this a go here. Just a second. All right. Purple Punch Buggy, of course. Been playing a bit on Pixelborn. I've gotten my rank up, as it were. Just gonna make sure on my camera that you actually can see everything. All right. Okay. This hand's pretty great. We have Stitch, Lantern Stitch, meaning a turn 3 Stitch is pretty great. I'm going to actually keep the entire hand. I'm not certain I want to play Lilo out. Actually, I might actually send it back. The reason being is I don't want to play it on turn 1 because I want to use it on Stitch Rockstar, and that's using all 3 of these cards as resources here, which is fine, but I might want a little more flexibility. And since I know I'm not playing this turn 4, there's a chance that it's pretty replaceable with any other card that costs 1. So I'm just going to send this back. So I'm not playing Stitch on 1. I don't want them to have a Fire the Cannon to let them do it on 1. I think it's pretty unimportant. I get to play it off the Lantern next turn anyway. So let's just ink an Elsa. I might want to keep the Simba to actually pair with Stitch a bit more. And I'm not planning it, so also I would not be planning on questing on turn 2 with this, is why I'm not playing it, and I can just play it off the Lantern. Okay, let's play out You Have Forgotten. Oh, I guess I play out the Wardrobe. They showed me Gaston, meaning I think they're going to be Amethyst, Ruby, and having a lot of health in that matchup really isn't too important. It's good against Rafiki, but that's about it. But most of those games, actually, Rapunzel is probably one of your worst cards. It's hard to make use of it. So, if they don't play anything here, I might shift with this. But if they play anything out, I'm not going to shift because of fear of Rafiki. So, let us just... I don't think I'm going to have time for this. So, I'm just going to play out Surfer Stitch and pass. Again, I don't want to leave this vulnerable to Rafiki. I have 2 cards to draw with it next turn, so I'm just going to pass here. The 3 lower is not worth what I'm going to be getting the next couple turns before they can get something big going. And they might take the turn off and not play a card like Rafiki, which kind of throws off their curve a bit. as the game goes on. Oh, that's even better for me. They didn't do anything to develop the board. So now I can safely quest with this since I know they're not going to be able to challenge through this. So I'm not going to bodyguard, so I can draw a card. Then I am going to, it's going to be bodyguarding. Let's play LeFou out. As I said, I think Rapunzel's actually kind of weak in this matchup. I'm going to ink one of them. I think that the You Have Forgotten Me, or the Friends on the Other Side's better. And I think I'm going to quest here. Just important to get a large amount of lore early and the potential to just run away with the game, and I might even ink one of these next turn. So because they played a draw 2 instead of potentially a Rafiki, which they might have to play out here, don't even have a Rafiki. Okay. So now the only thing I have to worry about is a Maui. The ideal scenario is they're trying to bounce things. Okay, so they're going to put some points on something or take out LeFou. Sure. This is one of the rare opportunities to let me use Rapunzel, but I'm not certain I want to by taking out the magic broom. I guess I probably should. I'm not too thrilled about having it exerted, but I get to play out the Simba again anyway, so let's take out the broom here just to prevent them from using Mickey as a free way to kind of get back in, and yeah. Rare use of Rapunzel in this matchup. Rapunzel's really good at singing, but that's about it. Surfer Stitch and Lilo are great. Again, I'll ink one of these. These are both a little bit better, I would think. And protective bodyguarding. Okay. Really hope this survives. I don't know there's a way it dies except for the Dragonfire, which I'm not thrilled about happening, but it's better than them being able to take it down just by itself with Maui, which they can't use Maui to clear right now. Stitch, so. They could also shift Aladdin. I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not really concerned with the lore count right now. Yeah, Maui rendered a little bit useless with the Simba, which is nice. Okay, now we just kind of get to go a little crazy. Playing out the ones that cannot be inked first, of course, just to make the best use of my resources. A little awkward there. Trying to think, is it worth developing this at all, or is it just better to play Jafar? I think I might just better play Jafar, and in that case, I'm going to, since I can play a Stitch next turn, I'm just going to ink one of these. And I think I'm questing with, I know I'm questing with Rapunzel. It's a question of if I'm questing with Stitch or not. It is just a free way for them to eat my characters, and let's just start here with this. It's definitely happening. I mean, it's going to take out something else anyway. It's going to take out the Rapunzel, which is one more lore. I don't have anything to currently use with this, but it makes them kind of play a Be Prepared out on turn 7 for certain. Which I kind of feel like they have to do anyway. So this actually just gives me more lore over the course of the 2 turns. By forcing the Maui to hit here instead of something else, I'm going to play out essentially a Stitch next turn anyway, and it makes it so they can't take out a Lilo. It gets the Maui off the board in case they don't have Be Prepared. So I'm kind of playing for the scenario that if they had Be Prepared, it's probably the same thing anyway. If they don't have Be Prepared, this is slightly better because it's forcing the Maui not to get more value. That's where I'm at. Jafar's also going to check a potential Aladdin that they shift into, which is nice. Kind of letting me keep, I imagine they take out Rapunzel, let me keep 5 lore in play. I'd go back up to 10 lore. Sure, that's okay with me. I can ink some, if I draw an inkable, I can ink that, play the lantern out, then play Stitch, just to develop the lantern, which is nice. It's essentially -1 on your ink count for a turn that you play it, instead of -2 because you get to rebuy the amount immediately. So I'd be up 7, I have one in play the inked card out, and yeah. I would have liked to be able to ink some more not useful cards, like I've had to ink, I think, 2 Friends on the Other Side and Rapunzel, which isn't ideal, but okay, they're going to shift into that. That's interesting. Alright, so I know I'm going to be playing the Friends on the Other Side here, so I'm just going to do that first. Right, that's pretty good. Let's play out Lantern. And they didn't ink that turn of note. Wardrobe. The question is if I want to play this on out, and I think I do. Just to let me potentially draw a 1 that I want to play. maybe a Stitch that sets up a future Rockstar Stitch. All right, so they have that. Sure. Sure. Okay, so they're going to try and rebuild this way. I'm going to be questing and playing out my cards. I would rather Bodyguard here in case of... I guess maybe I shouldn't have because of Rafiki. But against another Maui, I would want to keep this alive. I've seen 2 Maui, so I probably should have played around Rafiki, but I've seen a lot of lists cut that. Do I want to ink here? Could ink the Ana, because I don't have anything to really do with it, and I might want to have extra resources for cards next turn. I think I'm holding this till I find another Rockstar or a Hades, because I have a Stitch in the discard here. It's always good to know when to hold your cards and when to actually play them out. Right now I have a pretty steady lore count, and if they also play another Be Prepared, I want to be able to draw potentially an inkable card. Then I can go, I'd have a 9 ink, 10, 11, and this is 10, 11 cards worth in my hand, so I could play this into this and draw 2. So holding this makes a lot of sense. And this is enough to kind of pressure some way, shape, or form. There's a Maui, sure. I guess I got rewarded a little bit by doing that. Rapunzel would be a really good draw here now, because there's a tapped Maui, so let's just actually take that value, because that's really hard to use Rapunzel as matchup. I'd say this is the only real way, or one of the few real ways to use it, is Big Stitch, because a lot of their cards just either destroy things or are way too big to really fight that fight in Maui. And yeah, let's quest here. They would have played Be Prepared, I would imagine, last turn. So I'm feeling fine. Again, I'm going to hold, well, I'm going to have one more ink that I did before. So the same would hold true for the same play I said last round, playing these out on 11. It'd be LeFou for 12. But I guess I might not want to ink anymore. I'm drawing a bunch of cards. I maybe could have just done that. I was thinking the same logic of having 11 resources would apply if I played LeFou out, but if I played the Archimedes out. But I mean, I need 12 with LeFou, so maybe best not to. But yeah, this is how you beat this deck. You just kind of, sure they have their magic mirrors and stuff, but I'd be able to pressure them at every point of the game and go longer. Like I played Lilo's out and I'm at 9 lore and I'm just completely dominating them on the board by cards in hand and just overall resources and ink. I have 9 ink to their 5. Yeah, sure. That when all your cards draw cards, it's kind of hard to really fall too far behind. And they're having to ink those cards, which I did and didn't really care about. Oh, Magic Mirror. Oh, I don't think you're a very good card. Let's start by playing Big Stitch out. I don't see a reason not to. Okay. Let's quest. So let's just take a moment to think here. So if they play an Elsa, they get to lock these 2 down, and then I have only 3. So I need to make sure I can potentially have 3. I don't have a I don't have a small Elsa right now. Otherwise, I could play the small Elsa out and it could threaten 3 more with this. So let's just draw a card here with this. And okay, there's a Stitch Rockstar. So it means I don't want to play this out. And let's just play out Jafar for ink and then pass. Not quite beating the big Elsa here, but that's only going to buy them a turn, really. The only scary situation is if they go big Elsa into something else and then Be Prepared and all that jazz. But nope, no such luck. Nice little first win there. Let's jump right back in. Again, I had a green screen, but it got a little messy, and that's just how life goes with having cats. So apologies for no green screen right now. I'm probably going to replace it soon. Along with probably the next time I do a video, my hair will be the appropriate color, which is gray. Going to be the Witcher for Halloween. So I had to bleach it first. So that's why it's super blonde, and I'm trying to get rid of the yellowness. If you know how to get rid of the yellowness properly, let me know. I don't. I've tried things. I've tried the purple toner stuff and not too much luck. But anyway, back to the games. I do have the Lorcana Invitational, the Lost Boys coming up here. This is probably a pretty good choice, I would say, for that field. It's gonna be nice to see what else everyone else brings and kind of go from there. Going first, so we have Lantern. Makes me like, again, Lantern's not the worst card. it provides you, extra ink along the way. A second one's usually not the greatest. It can be. It's a bad top deck, but this deck has so much card draw where I think it's okay to try out. I'm probably going to get rid of these 3. This gives me something to do or ink early on, and I really want to find a Stitch to go with this, so I can transform this Archimedes into an extra card with Stitch. And Wardrobe's just fine if I draw Rapunzel, so second Lantern. All right, so I think that means I can't play Archimedes out as a character. I'm just going to be too low on resources with double Lantern here. I'm probably going to go ink this, play Lantern, next turn ink something, play Lantern, Wardrobe. Sure, I think the same still holds true. I can't really afford, I could maybe ink the Maleficent. I don't really like that though, because I'm going to be playing the Wardrobe out into Stitch. So I guess that makes this, I guess that's fine. So my thought here is I'm going to play Lantern, and then next turn I'm going to go ink something, play second Lantern, Wardrobe. Then the turn after I'm going to ink something, play Stitch, and then this is going to draw a card where this would draw a card anyway. So they're both going to draw a card, the Simba and the Maleficent. But the Simba's obviously a 2/3, so I'd rather keep that one over the Maleficent. They're going to functionally do the same thing with Stitch out, which I think is what my game plan is going to be. Obviously Simba would be nice to challenge here, but if you draw certain cards, how kind of the game plays out changes really quickly. You kind of have to shift gears every turn to really find out where the game's going to play. And that can change with the deck you're playing, how you're playing it, and what you're playing against. So it's very, very much, you have to try and adapt each turn to not just the board state, but your ink count, what they could play, what you could play. All right, so they're playing Amber Sapphire. So the matchup I actually think I'm not that favored in. I've played a bunch, and they have just a lot of... they're basically a very similar deck, but they have more ways to interact with Let It Go and Hades. So it's not the ideal situation, but let's just sing this here and see what we got going on. Okay. I actually like Elsa in this matchup. It's going to help kind of get back in the game, but we're going to play Big Stitch out here. And then use these next turn to refuel. So that's nice. Unfortunately, they can Let It Go here, which would be a little annoying for me, even though that's their whole turn. I really don't have much going on else otherwise. If they say Let It Go and then trade these 2 into Wardrobe, and there's no chance for me to use this with the Rapunzel potentially being drawn, then I could be in some trouble. Okay. Well, that's fine. I don't mind too much about that aspect of this game here. Them trading off is pretty good for me, I would say. I'm always scared of Stitch being in play with Shift Stitch existing. Just a huge threat. It's basically a Maleficent that can do its thing immediately. So, all right, let's just start going off with this. There's a chance I'd want to play out Elsa, so I'm going to play the Simba here. Okay, I'm actually going to... do I want to just make this into an extra card here by using Rapunzel? I think I might get a chance to use Rapunzel for 3 next turn. So I might just want to play more characters out, actually. So not developing Elsa, not playing out Rapunzel. Okay, well. I do want to ink, though. Let's just draw a card. We'll draw an ink. That's uninkable, but that's fine. All right, Elsa's going to bite the dust here, because I think we actually are going to get value out of them this game. I don't want to attack here. I don't really see the need to. I'm just going to quest. I have 2 bodyguards up. They can Maleficent trade in, but that's really all they get for what's going on. All right, they have a Rockstar Stitch. Now, this deck doesn't have any ways to really remove characters, which is a little awkward for it in general, but what can you do? All right, so I actually do feel the need to trade in here a bit of damage and then get 3 cards back with Rapunzel. Oh, well, that seems like be enough for them. I guess they didn't have much going on. They only had 2 cards, and I'm really just flooding the board. I'm going to quest for a bunch this turn. I'm not going to try and interact much more than that. Yeah. As you can see, first to Stitch is pretty good, and Lantern showed its worth there by putting me a bit ahead, even against a turn 1 Stitch when I didn't do anything on turn 2, or 1 or 2, really. I just played 2 Lanterns out. The extra resources it gives in the rebuy, where I went Lantern on 2, and then on 3 and also played a 3-drop, that's pretty impressive. It is something to consider when you're playing with Lantern, how you want to sequence your turns. And as you could see, I felt that we could not play a 1-cost card out with having drawn the second Lantern, so my kind of gears shifted entirely from being able to challenge the Stitch to just having to ignore it on turn 1. Which we were able to ignore pretty successfully, because we just, instead of trying to interact at each point, just got way ahead, and they felt like it was too much. Okay. This is another hand where we are really hoping to draw a 1-cost Stitch. I'm going to get rid of some of the 4s here. I don't like LeFou much. This is really, it was more copies of like Lilo or Maleficent 1-cost card, but I just wanted more inkables. And to make room for Lantern, I had to shave down on those 1-cost ones. And you really don't need too many. They do a bit of damage by themselves. Just by damage, I don't mean actual damage. I mean, in the gameplay, they're pretty good at making sure that your opponent has to interact in a lot of ways that you might not want them to. Okay, another Stitch Enjoyer. That's fine. I'm going to try and control a little bit here. Having going second and not having a second Lantern means I can probably play out a 1-cost card. I'm going to play the Archimedes because if they go... Well, yeah. I'll explain in a second. So what I'm going to do turn 2 is play Lantern Stitch. If they go Simba Bodyguard, I'm not going to do anything, of course. Then when I shift the Stitch, I'm going to be able to hit the other Stitch there, potentially. Okay. All right, Anna, I don't have an Elsa. And I'm going to challenge just to get this off the board, because Stitch is always, again, threatening Big Stitch early, and that's just scary. Like what we're about to do. Now, interesting to note, the color pair they're playing, the Sapphire and Amber, has no way to immediately impact the board on your opponent's side, except for Let It Go and Hades. So if they did play something here and then don't quest with this, or do quest with this, then I can safely trade with the Big Stitch, because there's no way for them to deal 1 point of damage. Okay. So as I mentioned before, in a period like this where with Stitch and Play, functionally Simba is a better version of Maleficent, there's a chance that they play Let It Go, and I want to have the extra card draw. So I'm going to ink the Simba here, going against the logic I just implied last game, because I am going to challenge this fill. There are situations where it's definitely right to just quest here, but against a fill, which can help buff up the Mickey and then have enough to challenge left over after that, I think I want to just develop my board a bit more and try to keep parity on what they can do. Right, there's Maleficent, that's fine. Okay, interesting. We have a lot of... So this will functionally cost 1, so let's just do that to kind of see what we get off that, since these things are kind of... If I do any of these things, I can't do a secondary thing, whereas I can kind of figure out what I want to do here. I think I want to take this out, actually. Having this protect here, and the only way to interact again being a bigger character, I think I want to just trade off here. So if I'm going to do that, I should probably check to make sure I know what I want to do for this turn. And I think I'm inking the friends. On the other side, I think this Stitch is going to be pretty important. So let's just draw a card first to see what we get. Okay, Elsa. Doesn't really help too much as far as what we're going to do, but I'm going to just trade off here. I've given up a bit of lore to help control the board, but I think that we're pretty far ahead in terms of resources here, and they can't really beat the Stitch currently. So yeah, they're having to give up the lore just to take that out. Okay, it plays into a Rapunzel, sure. But us keeping Stitch and Play on our turn is pretty big too, so I'm okay with that. Getting a little bit tough there. Would like to draw some cheaper cards. Let's Sing here to start. I'm 1 away from being able to play Big Stitch next turn. Okay. All right, that's interesting. That means we want to maybe prepare this setup next turn, so. Ooh. Oof. So do I want to just play a Stitch out and play You've Forgotten Me? Ink this, play You've Forgotten Me to get their last 2 cards. That is a pretty big swing. It's gonna leave me with, sure, let's do that. That's pretty big. Kind of why it's there. Randomly tag the last 2 cards in your opponent's hand. It's great. What do we hit? Phil and Hades. That Hades is pretty good. I can't play anything else out here. I'm just going to pass. It's a little awkward because I can get my guys kind of eaten. They can use Phil to buff up Rapunzel here and take out the Stitch or the Maleficent. It's kind of hard to know which one you want to take out unless you're taking out both. Because this can help sing the friends on the other sides, but the Stitch can be a big Stitch. And we're pretty far behind here. I think that we're just going to be playing the big Elsa out as it is. We're going to just use this to play Stitch out. As I can see, you can see the turn behind I was talking about being slightly sometimes. This is kind of what I was talking about. I'm just slightly behind on certain turns. And I think I do have to trade this off here. We're going to use Elsa to kind of clean up next turn, but they're going to get to 13 lore here, and Elsa's going to tag these two down. I can hit in. I'm a little weary of hitting in and then passing because that means that Rapunzel's a pretty big draw, so I might just play Elsa out and then quest with these two. Quest for this here. Okay. Inking the Maleficent because Stitch is going to be pretty helpful at catching us back up. So I make sure. I might have to take that risk thinking about it here. That they draw a Rapunzel, because I need to be able to take these out. And currently I'm not going to be able to take both them out. I kind of have to set something up. But if they draw Rapunzel, I'm in big trouble. Robin Hood's a good one for them. 6 ink and best card to draw, yeah. Okay. Alrighty. What am I doing with this turn? This is getting a little dicey. I have to take both these out. So I'm playing the control role here. I don't really like doing that with this deck. They're just slightly ahead at each point here. I think I played the big Stitch and the Archimedes out. It's my best line. Because functionally Archimedes, I guess if that's the case, yeah. So Archimedes and Maleficent are the same thing here, except I would have less resources next turn, but the Maleficent can sing the friends on the other side. That's interesting. I think I'm still playing this out, but maybe that was wrong to play this out here first. I should have led with the Maleficent. Yeah, that might have been better. If I'd led with Maleficent, I could have drawn into Rapunzel, which is a pretty key card here. So let's... They're going to go to 10 lore here. Man, that's rough. Okay. I think I'm going to need all my ink next turn. All right. It's going to be a close one if we do get to win. It's going to involve getting pretty lucky and probably drawing an Elsa, the 3-cost one here from this point. Because I need to be able to take care of this, draw something to lock out whatever they play here, and then also play Elsa. My hope is that their hand's like Hades or something. Simba. All right, not bodyguarded, and Mickey Mouse. Okay, that's probably a bit much. I need to draw Elsa to get back in this. These two can take this out, so let's sing with Stitch here. Nope. Nope, need to draw big Elsa here. Yeah, just a turn behind it felt like, and drawing all 3 lanterns, not really what we were hoping for in the top half of the deck. But as you can see, we would be able to just kind of get away from all this, but just a little bit behind. I'm just playing stuff out for fun here, but close game. Yeah, so here we would take out, doesn't matter which one I go to, both 4s. Just a little behind. I'm not sure where it fell apart there. I think it was a slight... I think it was the Rapunzel turn. The Maleficent Rapunzel turn was a bit much to come back from there. Again, just shows you how good Maleficent is. I think I put 2 damage on it when I shouldn't have, and maybe could have played it a little differently at that point, but no, that's the deck. It certainly was a fun showing there of the deck. I enjoy it. It needs a little bit more maybe to come back in. You know, if there was a befuddle that hit something that cost 3, maybe it would be a little bit more valuable. I would like to have Jafar be something else maybe. It's sometimes good because it's an extra 5 health character that you can use Rapunzel on. Something always to make sure that you can do in this deck. And also you can see we have a lot of cards in our hand at times, so it's pretty good strength there. But No, I enjoyed it. The rush cards that you can play, whether it be Zeus or Rafiki, are uninkable, which is a bit of a downer. And Pocket Watch is fine, but it also doesn't help the issue there where at the end of the game you're kind of just catching up slightly and falling behind to their whatever they play off the top. Maybe it was the You Have Forgotten Me turn. Maybe I wasn't supposed to just do that and I had to develop something a little bit more. Maybe we lost too much tempo there at the end of there, but who knows. I had a lot of fun. This deck's a lot of fun. I like the card choices. Maybe you can adjust it a little bit for what metagame you're going to kind of see. Maybe you do want to play Pocket Watch because you're expecting a lot of decks that you need to be able to come back and attack into. But nope, big fan. Going to keep trying some more decks again for the Lorcana Invitational, hosted by, I think, the Lost Boys, Apex Gaming, on October 21st. So check that out there. Eventually put up a link. I'll surely give me something to put on with these. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all.